this with. But the way things are is the way it is, and not what we want them to be. Can't recreate the past or make the man love her differently. But with Aaliyah, he loved her so much that he forbade her to come to the funeral, even though I watched her big old brown eyes get all watery and Pops almost give in like a chump. Eventually, though, like I knew he would, he put his foot down and left the apartment with a guard in the hallway to make sure she was okay on the surface, when in reality, it was to make sure she wouldn't be up to her old ways and sneaking around, doing all that she was told not to do. As we exited the vehicles and headed up the uneven grass to the burial place of the cemetery, I thought about those big crocodile tears in Aaliyah's eyes and why they couldn't matter at a time like now. There were so many niggas strapped up at this thing that even unintentionally someone you love would get hit by a bullet if it all went down. So allowing someone who meant the world to you near all this weaponry would be ludicrous. In truth, there'd be no way I'd let the woman I screwed near this place either. It was bad enough Jimmy's family was here, but we couldn't very well remove them from the situation, now could we? So there was heavy guard on the church during the funeral where Jimmy Jr., with a choked-up voice, talked about how his dad loved him more than anyone else in the world, and that when his mother suffered from and later died from drug addiction, it was his dad that made sure he never missed out on the things she used to do before she started to change. Funeral attire made it easy for our guys to blend into the scene. Fortunately, because there were more of them than civilian men, mostly older, who Jimmy had suited and tailored over the years. Many of them sharing stories of how it was Mr. Jimmy who gave them suits to wear for job interviews when they had no money to pay him. It was the suit that landed them the job, and when they'd come back in to pay for it, he wouldn't accept. Instead, he told them to keep coming back. That was the kind of man he was. And there were times he would go without to help the community, and Pops would loan him the money to make everything right. But Mr. Jimmy was determined to do good by his community. A man like that didn't deserve what he got. It was what made everyone angry, and it was a mystery to Slick and me that Jimmy Jr. wasn't angry with Pops for his dad dying over some shit that likely had to do with something he did. The message, retribution, seemed to be for the person who found it and not the dead. So that meant Pops. And if it were for him, we had to figure out what that retribution was for. So far, we had no answers. We had to find the answer to that question to make sense of all this, and even then, it would do nothing to end the pain of losing someone who meant so much to Pops. As the Reverend said his last words and read scripture, committing Jimmy's body to the ground and his spirit to sit beside God, the shoulders of my father, the toughest man I knew, slumped. And for the first time, I wished he had let Aaliyah stay. She had been remaining close to his side, and now I understood why. With her near, he seemed like himself. And now here watching his friend's body descend into the hard earth, he looked human and struggling. Surprising myself, I stepped up behind him and placed my hand on his shoulder. He looked at me, his jaw clenching, and fighting back the tears with an almost imperceptible nod, he looked back at the coffin being lowered into the ground. Jimmy Jr.'s aunt held the young man close, providing him with comfort during his loss, and only one thing came to mind watching this. If something happened to Pops, who would hold me? Maestro. 2 months later. One dead in what appears to be another drug overdose, this time in one of the city's middle schools. That's right. In a place meant to be a safe space and learning institution, a student has lost their life, in what authorities are calling one of the saddest experiences to happen in the city of Pittsburgh. An 8-year-old is now dead after what appears to be an accidental overdose. It's too soon to say what drugs were taken by the student, but investigators have spoken to teachers and students who say the child was seen with packets that looked like candy, which is why they weren't confiscated. This is consistent with reports that there have been ecstasy pills packaged like candy with colorful wrapping being sold throughout the city. Officials have confirmed the DEA is investigating and in pursuit of whoever would market their drugs to the youth. They stopped short of saying where the source of the drugs are, but did say that crackdowns were coming sooner and not later. Unfortunately for the family of a little 8-year-old, the crackdown doesn't come soon enough. Rebecca Williams reporting from WVCA Channel 11 News. I watched as Pop switched off the TV and took a deep breath. His anger was as palpable as my own, but anger wasn't going to fix this shit happening in our faces. Nobody's child should be dying over this bullshit, especially not in our city and on our turf. Daddy, we need to stop whoever this motherfucker is. It's going too far, Slick said downstairs.